Hello, fourth grade, and welcome back to art. We are in week number 2, and last time I saw you, we started our art competition where we started to map out our 3 houses. We have house 1, house 2, and house 3. Now, today it's going to seem pretty easy, but what you're going to do is you're going to start to map in the windows. Now, there's one thing I noticed that kids do when they go to make windows on houses, and that is they just kind of plop them wherever they want. And if you're doing an architectural picture, that really wouldn't make sense because you have to have levels on your houses. You'd have the first level, and then you'd have the second level, and then maybe a third level. So let's take a look at the houses here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to look at this here, and I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to measure this. And I made this box 4 inches high, okay? So what I want to do is I want to take my pencil and just put a little mark and divide it in half. So half of 4 is 2. So you might have a different number depending on the size of your box. And I'm going to draw a little line that goes across the house like that. It's very light because I'm going to erase that. But that's going to divide the house into the 2 stories, okay? So once I do that, now I can see where level number 1 is and where level number 2 is, which is going to help create the windows, okay? So now, using my line as a guide, I know that the second story of windows goes above that line, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in maybe a window here. And I'll put some lines in like that just to help map it in. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side to keep the house looking symmetrical. So maybe these are the upstairs bedrooms, do you see? And then right here, I'm going to put, let's see, a bigger window here. And a bigger window there. Do you see how I did that? And then down below, I now know roughly how high to make my door. And I'm just doing this very simply for now, just to map it in. See the door? And then maybe on the sides of the door, there's windows on the right and the left. Do you see that? And then maybe down below, I'm going to put in 2 windows there. And then maybe this on this side is the garage door, which has 3 windows on top. And then, again, I'm not worried too much about the detail yet. But do you see how dividing the house in half really helps you figure out where to put the windows? So let's try the second picture. 1 3/4 inches, so I'm going to put that here. So there's my little mark. And I'm just going to draw my line across. You don't have to be super exact, but it definitely helps you figure out where to put the windows. Okay? So I know that my door can't go higher than that line. Okay? So I'm going to put a nice double door. Don't go past the line because that's... Oh, you know what? I'll put those. Some people have double doors like that. And I think I'll put... nice big window here, and a nice big window here. Okay, and I think above the door this time, so above my line that I mapped in, I'm going to put an arch window, and I think I'll put a box there, box here. Okay, and maybe I'll divide this up to create 4 windows on top. And then over here, see this line goes right up to the roof. So maybe this is the garage. Maybe there's one long rectangle up there. I'll divide it. So there's the garage door. And maybe over here, this is like a sunroom. So I'm going to put two windows like that. Okay, let's try picture number 3. Okay, so boys and girls, what I did here was I divided each box in half to help me figure out where to put the windows. And now, this is the first story, and here's the second story. So I'm going to put my door on like that. Put in my windows. Now, you can figure out where you want to put your own windows. And maybe this again. Oh, you know what? Sometimes people have a round window on the top. And then I'm going to put my windows here. And then maybe I'll put these windows like that. Now look what I'm doing. I am not using a ruler. And look how sloppy those windows became. Do you see that? So it is really important that once you figure out where all of the windows are going, okay, is to go back with your straight edge and go over all of your lines and make sure all of your windows are the same height on each side, because that's what makes the picture, you know, look at that. Look how far off I was when I just sketched it. So going back in with the ruler helps make them crisp, sharp, and accurate. Okay? So I know this seems pretty easy today, just mapping in the windows. But do you see how, by figuring out where the center mark is, it really helps you map in the windows correctly? Okay? So once you sketch out the windows, I want you to go back with your straight edge and clean them up and make them look really straight and as accurately as possible. Okay? So like this garage door here, I got to really go back and fix that. Okay? So now we have part 2 done, and next week we will be moving on to part 3 of the house design. Okay? So get this part done, and I will see you next week. Bye, boys and girls.